Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Fabrizio Romano here as always to keep you posted on the transfer market. Today guys, we have to update you on several things. We will talk about Barcelona, about Chelsea, about strikers, defenders, something also on a Brazilian midfielder. Let's jump into it together. Here we are guys, important moments on the market. The transfer window is coming. Remember to be always here on the channel, always here to get all the latest. My phone is gonna be blowing up this summer because of course there is going to be plenty of news, and today I was already touching on a potential here we go coming very soon, and it's for Brentford, because Brentford are closing in on a deal to sign Yannick Schuster from Red Bull Salzburg, a young defender. The deal is almost done for 20 million euros package, and so a very interesting opportunity, a very interesting player, and so this is the beginning of the transfer window with the first news coming. But we have to talk also about more about Barcelona, about Chelsea in this case, also something to say about Ederson. So let me start with all the questions we are getting on the situation of Alessandro Bastoni. Inter won the league yesterday, but there will be no changes in negotiations for any player during this week. Why? Because next week Inter play for the domestic cup, the Coppa Italia, the final against Lazio, and so till that game nothing will change in terms of discussions, negotiations, evolutions. So this week will not change anything in the Bastoni story, but obviously after the cup final and probably Barcelona already having a verdict for the league, that's going to be a really important moment to start understanding what's going to happen for Bastoni. Today the president of Inter, Marotta, said he's a really important player for us. We are aware of the interest of several clubs, including Barcelona, but at the moment the only way for players to go, and I think that's a crucial sentence, the only way for players to leave us is if they want to go, if they ask to leave. And at the moment, Bastoni didn't. This is what Marotta said. The reality, guys, is that Alessandro Bastoni, his agents, already spoke several times with Barcelona. Since December, there has always been direct contacts and direct conversations. And my understanding remains that Alessandro Bastoni would be open to joining Barcelona. But this deal doesn't depend on Bastoni. This deal depends on Bastoni, but also on Barcelona and Inter. In this moment, especially on Barcelona and Inter. Because you remember, in February, March, I was coming here on the channel and I was telling you, when you see reports of 45, 50 million euros, Inter are not accepting that. Inter probably will start the valuation of Bastoni for something around 70 million euros, then that could be reduced, we will see, but for sure, at the moment, my understanding is that Inter would not accept 45 or 50 million euros. So there is a big gap between Inter eventual request, if Bastoni goes and says, I want to leave, and Barcelona plan to offer that amount of money. Then, if they can find common ground, Bastoni remains the top target for Barcelona at centre-back. Otherwise, I told you 2 months ago that Ndicka, the defender from Roma, is one of the options. Not the only one, Barça have more options in the list. Bastoni remains the preferred option at centre-back, but depending on the cost of the deal. So, conversations will follow. The story is still on. The story is not over, but will depend on what Inter and Barcelona can discuss in terms of price. Then we have, guys, many questions also on the striker situation at Barcelona. Let me give you a few informations on what's going to happen next and replying to the rumors, the media stories in the recent days. First point, Robert Lewandowski. Is going to be really important to understand what happens with Lewandowski. Goes, stays, is going to be crucial. The agent of Robert Lewandowski, Pini Zahavi, will be in Europe these days, traveling around to talk to clubs, to also have a conversation with Barcelona and understand what's going to happen with Lewandowski. This new contract Barcelona could offer, one more season, would be on reduced terms. And so that's why the Lewandowski situation at the moment is still not approved by the player, because it would be on reduced terms and only one season. Italian clubs could be interested. Milan Juventus asked for situation of Lewandowski, but don't forget also about the MLS and the Saudis. The Saudis always wanted Robert Lewandowski since 3 years ago, 2 years ago, last summer, and Lewandowski remains a name in mind of those who are Saudi deal makers. So the Lewandowski situation is completely open. Pini Zahavi is traveling this week, starting to get feedbacks on the proposals, presenting the proposals to Lewandowski and his family, and then will be Lewandowski deciding what he wants to do next. Many questions on João Pedro being the alternative to Julián Álvarez for Barcelona in the attacking positions. Guys, the reality on João Pedro, from what I understand, João Pedro is for sure a player super appreciated by Barcelona. He's a player that Deco, Barcelona director, was monitoring even before he joined Chelsea. For Deco, he was a super appreciated player already at Brighton. So for sure, João Pedro is a player really liked at Barcelona. But it's obvious, I would say, to like a player like João Pedro. Who doesn't like João Pedro? This is a fantastic striker. But at the same time, for Chelsea, he's an absolutely crucial player. So we don't have to forget mentioning Chelsea when we mention the Barcelona story for João Pedro. They like João Pedro, yes. But Chelsea here is a crucial part of the story. For Chelsea, he's a crucial player. It's a difficult moment for Chelsea. And to lose João Pedro this summer would be something absolutely not in Chelsea plans. So for Chelsea, João Pedro remains an absolutely crucial part of the project. And Barcelona know that. So you can like João Pedro, but at the end of the day, if Julián Álvarez is complicated because Atlético Madrid would ask a lot of money, for João Pedro, the story is the same with Chelsea. So it's not big changes. It's all players who are fantastic strikers, very expensive, and very difficult to get. In this case, for João Pedro, probably the best player at Chelsea this season. You can imagine in a complicated season for the club, with the manager leaving, having also João Pedro leaving, at the end of the summer would mean probably a bad message coming from Chelsea. And so at the moment, the understanding is that Chelsea count on João Pedro for present and future. Then, if you ask me, do Barça appreciate João Pedro? I tell you, yes. Deco appreciate João Pedro since he was at Brighton, but who doesn't? And then just to finish, guys, something quick on Ederson. I did a video, it was 3-4 weeks ago, here on the channel telling you keep an eye on Premier League clubs. And I keep maintaining my stance. Keep an eye on Premier League clubs for Ederson. Because Ederson had an agreement with Atlético Madrid on personal terms, but Atlético Madrid don't want to pay 45 million euros to Atalanta for a player who has 1 more year left on his contract, only 1 year, 2027, and is not signing a new deal. So there is no agreement at all. Atalanta and Atlético Madrid are far away in the valuation of Ederson, and so at the moment the situation is completely blocked between Atlético and Atalanta for Ederson. And now, keep an eye on English clubs. Manchester United, he's in the list, not the only player, probably not a top priority, but one of the options in the list at Manchester United. And there is one more English club keen on Ederson. So there could be movements. Atalanta want 45 million euros. 1 year left on his contract, he's not signing a new deal. And so the Ederson situation will be interesting to follow quite soon. And so guys, let me hear your thoughts on all these stories from Ederson to Bastoni, Lewandowski, João Pedro, Julián Álvarez. Your opinion, guys, here in comments. As always, remember to like this video, turn on the notification bell, subscribe to the channel. It's going to be a very long summer here on the channel. So we wait for you here every single day. See you soon. Thank you. Ciao.